It all started on a quiet Thursday evening. The dishwasher hummed in the kitchen, steady and indifferent, while the last light of sunset slipped between the blinds and cut the living room into stripes of gold and shadow. My wife was sitting on the edge of the couch, still in her Navy airline uniform, heels on, coat folded neatly beside her. Her phone lit up again in her hand. I remember thinking it was strange how the glow from the screen seemed brighter than usual. "Hi everyone. My name's Daniel. I'm 42 years old, a civil engineer, and I've been married to my wife, Claire, for 15 years. We have 2 kids. Ethan is 12, Lily is 9. For most of those years, I believed we were solid. Not perfect, not passionate in a movie kind of way, but stable, steady, real. Claire is an airline purser, elegant, composed, always perfectly put together even after a 10-hour flight. She has that calm authority about her, the kind that makes passengers trust her instantly. I used to admire how self-contained she was. Lately, that same composure felt like distance. That night, she kept typing mid-conversation. Not work messages, I've seen those before. These were different, faster, more deliberate. Her thumbs moved in quick bursts, then paused, then moved again. A faint smile flickered across her lips once, almost involuntary, before she noticed me watching. "Long day?" I asked. She looked up a second too late. Oh, yeah, turbulence over Denver." She locked the phone face down on her thigh. The air in the room felt thick, like before a summer storm. I told myself I was overthinking it. Airline crew chat constantly. Schedules change. Emergencies happen. But something about the way she angled the screen away from me, something subtle, almost imperceptible, didn't sit right. I had always trusted her. Completely. But that was the night I realized I no longer felt included in her world. And I didn't yet know that the text she was sending mid-flight would eventually shatter everything I thought our marriage was built on. In this opening phase, the emotional tension stems from contrast. Daniel expects stability after 15 years of marriage. His identity is rooted in predictability, his job as an engineer, the rhythm of family life, the steady hum of the dishwasher. Claire's elegance and composure once symbolized strength and reliability. But now, those same traits create emotional distance. The subtle act turning the phone face down becomes symbolic. His expectation of transparency clashes with the emerging reality of secrecy. Psychologically, Daniel's discomfort arises not from proof, but from dissonance. The smile, the delayed response, the altered body angle. These microbehaviors disrupt his internal narrative of trust. The mind resists rewriting long-held beliefs, so he rationalizes. Airline crew chat constantly. This is the first stage of denial, preserving the old reality because the alternative is too destabilizing. The tension lies not in what he knows, but in what he senses and cannot yet admit. Over the next few weeks, nothing obvious changed. That was the unsettling part. Life moved forward with mechanical precision. I drove Ethan to soccer practice. Lily practiced piano scales in the living room. Claire packed her suitcase in the bedroom before flights, folding each blouse with deliberate care. But her phone never left her hand. It used to sit casually on the kitchen counter, charging overnight. Now it slept under her pillow. At first, I laughed at myself. Maybe she was watching late-night shows. Maybe crew scheduling was chaotic. But then I started noticing patterns. She would step onto the balcony when texting, even in the cold. She lowered the brightness on her screen to almost nothing. Once, I walked into the bedroom unexpectedly, and she flipped the phone face down so quickly it nearly slid off the bed. "Work?" I asked again, keeping my voice neutral. "Yeah," she said. A pause. "Just crew stuff." Her tone was light, but her shoulders were tight. The most confusing part was how normal she could still be. Some nights, she'd rest her head on my shoulder while we watched TV. She'd laugh at Ethan's jokes. She'd help Lily braid her hair before school. Those moments calmed me. I would almost feel ashamed of my suspicions. Then there were the new details. She bought perfume I didn't recognize. Something softer, floral, unfamiliar. She began straightening her hair, even on short domestic flights. She started going to the gym more regularly, claiming she felt out of shape. Claire had never been insecure about her appearance before. One night, at 1:17 a.m., her phone buzzed. The room was dark except for the faint blue light of the screen. I watched her turn slightly away from me. She didn't open the message immediately. She waited. Then, Thinking I was asleep, she unlocked it. Her lips curved into a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in years. My chest tightened. The next morning, I asked casually, "Who texts at 1 in the morning?" She didn't look up from her coffee. "Time zones, Daniel. I work in the sky, remember?" It was a reasonable answer. Logical. But logic doesn't explain instinct. The real shift happened when Lily said something that stopped me cold. "Mom talks to that same person all the time," she said one afternoon while drawing at the kitchen table. I tried to sound relaxed. "What person?" "The one who makes her smile at her phone." I felt the floor tilt slightly beneath me. That night, Claire announced she had a crew reunion dinner on Saturday, a new one I'd never heard about before. She dressed carefully, chose earrings twice, and applied lipstick with slow precision. As she left, she kissed my cheek. "Don't wait up." The door closed softly, and for the first time in 15 years, I wondered if my wife was lying to me. Here, emotional undercurrents begin shaping behavior. Claire's secrecy escalates in subtle, behavioral shifts. Phone under pillow, balcony texting, lowered brightness. These are defensive actions, protective mechanisms driven by concealment. Daniel's emotional response oscillates between suspicion and guilt. When she shows affection, he feels shame for doubting her. This emotional whiplash is common in early betrayal stages. Lily's innocent remark acts as an external emotional trigger. Children often notice patterns adults overlook. Her comment bypasses Daniel's rationalizations and strikes at instinct. The late-night smile is pivotal, emotion attached to someone unseen. Emotion creates attachment. Attachment implies intimacy. Daniel's fear manifests as hyperawareness. He studies tone, posture, perfume. His internal stability erodes not because of proof, but because microsignals accumulate. Emotion is now guiding observation. Trust is no longer default, it is conditional. This marks the psychological shift from passive doubt to active concern. I didn't plan to become suspicious. I didn't want to be that husband. But Saturday night stretched long and silent. The house felt cavernous without her. The refrigerator hummed too loudly. The clock ticked like it was counting down to something inevitable. At 10:42 p.m., I texted her, "Hope you're having fun." She replied 12 minutes later. "Loud here. Talk later." No photo. No detail. No inside joke like she used to send. I opened our shared credit card account. The restaurant charge appeared at 9:18 p.m., a downtown bistro. Not unusual, but the amount was high. Higher than a simple dinner. I told myself, crew reunion, drinks, splitting checks. Still, I checked the location tag she'd once shared with me for safety during flights. It wasn't active. Around midnight, I drove downtown. I don't know what I expected, to see her through a window, to catch her laughing too closely beside someone. The restaurant was nearly empty when I arrived. The hostess told me large groups had left hours ago. Large groups. Claire texted at 12:37 a.m., heading home soon. She walked in at 1:20. Her makeup slightly smudged, hair looser than before. "How was it?" I asked. She slipped off her heels. "Fun. Nostalgic." "Who was there?" She hesitated, barely, but I saw it. "Oh, you know. Mark, Julie, a few others." Mark had transferred bases 2 years ago. I nodded slowly. 2 days later, while she showered, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I stared at it. My reflection in the dark screen looked unfamiliar, tense, pale. I picked it up. The password didn't work. She had changed it. My hands trembled, not from anger yet, but from confirmation. People don't change passwords in stable marriages without reason. Later that week, I noticed a name flash briefly when she tilted her phone. Adrian. No last name, just Adrian. Followed by a red heart emoji before it disappeared. I felt something inside me fracture quietly, but I still didn't confront her. Not yet. Because once spoken aloud, suspicion becomes reality. And I wasn't ready for reality. This stage represents escalation toward irreversible awareness. The credit card check, the drive downtown, the failed password, each act crosses a boundary. Investigation itself is a psychological turning point. Daniel moves from intuition to verification. The changed password is symbolic, access denied. Transparency replaced by guarded territory. The appearance of Adrian Love is the first concrete emotional evidence. It signals not just communication, but intimacy. Even without explicit content, the heart emoji reframes everything preceding it. At this stage, reconciliation is still technically possible, but trust has already begun collapsing internally. Daniel delays confrontation because naming betrayal solidifies it. This delay reflects fear of loss more than hope of innocence. The relationship is now in a liminal state, not exposed, but no longer secure. The emotional point of no return is approaching rapidly. The confession came during an argument about something stupid. The dishwasher had broken. Water pooled under the cabinets. I snapped at her for not calling the repair service earlier. She snapped back about my constant tension. "You've been distant for months," she said sharply. "I've been distant." I laughed bitterly. "You sleep with your phone." Silence. Her face changed, not defensive, not confused, resigned. "Daniel," she exhaled. There it was. The shift in tone. The lowering of walls. "Who is Adrian?" I asked quietly. Her fingers tightened around the counter's edge. She stared at the tile floor. The kitchen light buzzed faintly above us. "He's someone I met on a layover," she said. The words were steady. Too steady. "How long?" She swallowed. 8 months. 8 months. While we ate dinner together. While I drove our kids to school. While she kissed me goodbye before flights. "Is it physical?" My voice sounded distant, even to me. A pause. "Yes." The air left my lungs slowly, like a tire deflating. "I didn't plan it," she said quickly. "You were never really here, Daniel. Even when you were." I felt alone. I nodded once. I couldn't even argue. Emotional unavailability. She'd mentioned it before. I worked long hours. I withdrew into spreadsheets and deadlines. But loneliness doesn't justify deception. "Do you love him?" I asked. She didn't answer immediately, and that silence was louder than a confession. "I don't know," she whispered. Something inside me went very still. Not rage. Not screaming. Just clarity. 15 years reduced to a quiet kitchen with broken appliances and fluorescent light humming overhead. "I want a divorce," I said calmly. Her eyes widened. "Daniel, wait." But I had already crossed the line in my mind. There was no screaming. No dramatic collapse. Just silence. And the irreversible understanding that the woman I trusted with my entire life had been living another one beside it. The confrontation reveals a chain reaction months in the making. Emotional distance led to loneliness. Loneliness created vulnerability. Vulnerability opened the door to Adrian. But secrecy sustained it. Each small lie required another, compounding into an 8-month parallel relationship. Daniel's snapping about the dishwasher is symbolic. Built-up tension seeks release through trivial triggers. The broken appliance mirrors the broken marriage. Unnoticed leaks becoming visible damage. Claire's resignation indicates psychological fatigue. Maintaining dual realities is exhausting. When exposed, she shifts quickly from concealment to partial justification. "You were never really here." This reveals a defensive attempt to reassign blame. Daniel's calm reaction marks emotional detachment. Shock often produces stillness, not explosion. The cause, 8 months of deceit, results in immediate clarity. The effect is finality. The silence after, "I don't know," becomes the true end of the marriage. The house felt different the next morning. Muted. Hollow. Claire slept in the guest room. I heard her moving quietly at 6 a.m., the soft click of her suitcase wheels against the hardwood floor. She still had a flight. Life doesn't pause for heartbreak. The kids sensed it immediately. Ethan avoided eye contact. Lily asked why Mom didn't kiss me goodbye. "We're just figuring some things out," I said. Claire cried that evening. She apologized. She said it started as emotional support. She said she felt invisible. She said she'd end it. But 8 months isn't a mistake. It's a choice repeated daily. I contacted a lawyer the following week. We discussed custody schedules, asset division, the mortgage. Words like mediation and separation agreement felt clinical compared to the chaos in my chest. One night, I removed my wedding ring and placed it on the bathroom counter. The metal left a faint indentation on my finger, a pale band where commitment once rested. Claire watched me do it. "I never wanted to hurt you," she whispered. "I believe you," I replied. "But you did." The hardest part wasn't anger. It was grief for the version of us I thought was real. 2 months later, she moved into an apartment closer to the airport. We told the kids together. There were tears, questions, silence. But there was also something unexpected inside me, steadiness. For the first time in years, I wasn't guessing. I wasn't doubting my instincts. I was choosing myself. Claire's primary mistake was not the initial emotional connection, but sustaining deception. Repetition solidified betrayal. Daniel's earlier mistake was emotional withdrawal, not malicious, but impactful. However, emotional absence does not justify infidelity. It highlights relational imbalance. The removal of the ring symbolizes reclaiming agency. It marks the transition from victimhood to decision-maker. Daniel learns that love without transparency cannot survive. The children's awareness underscores collateral impact. Affairs rarely affect only two people. The lesson emerging is that clarity, though painful, restores dignity. Daniel's empowerment stems not from revenge, but from boundaries. Calm resolve replaces emotional chaos. It has been a year now. The house feels lighter. Different, but not empty. I wake early on weekends and make coffee while sunlight spills across the kitchen floor. The dishwasher has been replaced. The quiet hum no longer feels ominous. Ethan talks more during our drives. Lily still braids her hair at the table, tongue pressed between her teeth in concentration. Claire and I communicate politely about schedules. Nothing more. Sometimes I walk in the evenings. Cool air against my face. Hands in my jacket pockets. No constant knot in my chest. I started therapy. I reduced my hours at work. I listen more. I speak more. For a long time, I believed stability meant silence. No conflict, no drama. But silence can also be distance. And distance, if left untouched, grows. Nearly 30% of marriages face infidelity in some form. I used to think we were in the safe majority. Now I understand something different. Trust isn't lost in one night. It erodes quietly, in unread emotions, unanswered conversations, and phones turned face down. I can't rewrite what happened, but I can build differently moving forward. And for the first time in years, my life feels honest, even in its imperfection. This story illustrates how betrayal rarely emerges from a single explosive moment. It develops through incremental disconnection. Emotional unavailability created vulnerability. Secrecy amplified it. Confrontation crystallized it. Both partners contributed to relational distance, but only one chose deception. The psychological arc follows denial, suspicion, verification, clarity, empowerment. Daniel's growth stems from reclaiming perception. He learns to trust intuition rather than suppress it. Claire's composed exterior masked internal loneliness, revealing how outward elegance can conceal unmet needs. Ultimately, the narrative emphasizes that silence in relationships is not peace. It is often avoidance. Transparency requires discomfort. Without it, parallel lives form quietly. The ending offers bittersweet empowerment. Loss reshaped Daniel, but it did not destroy him. His strength comes not from anger, but from clarity.